I'm refusing to let my mother-in-law see my kids after she called me a W. I 26F met my husband 27M in high school. In senior year, I fell pregnant. I decided to keep my baby, and we had a daughter together just as we were graduating. When our daughter turned 1, we decided that our relationship was no longer working and decided to go our separate ways. During our separation, we both started seeing other people and both were in serious relationships. I fell pregnant again at 22 with my ex's baby and gave birth to a beautiful daughter. This relationship ended due to infidelity not on my part, and in the following few months my husband's relationship that he had during our separation fell apart and they ended things. 2 years ago my husband and I rekindled our relationship and got eloped shortly after. The daughter I had with my ex has no contact with her biological father, his wishes, and refers to my husband as dad. When my husband and I announced that we were back together, and I introduced mother-in-law to my second daughter that is not biologically my husband's, she would not look at my daughter directly. I thought this was weird, but brushed it off and didn't want to make a fuss. For the last 2 years, she has continuously treated our second daughter differently to our first. For example, always buying bigger birthday and Christmas presents for our eldest, surprising our eldest with activities just for them too, and excluding the youngest, etc., etc. I have brought this up with my husband, who also thought it was strange. We both have brought it up with mother-in-law on several occasions, but she claims that she didn't mean to exclude our youngest daughter and just feels more connected to our eldest. Which hurt me for my youngest daughter, but then again, some people have stronger relationships than others, and my husband seemed to accept this answer, so I didn't push the subject. I have started a new job recently in the last month. With my old job, I was able to work from home and could look after our daughters at the same time. However, this new job has a longer commute and requires me to be in office during the week. Therefore, mother-in-law has stepped in looking after our daughters before and after school until my husband or I picks them up from her house. Whenever I am the one to pick up the girls, they are often angry and snappy with me, particularly my eldest. I've chalked this down to a long day at school, feeling exhausted, and have tried not to take this to heart. 3 days ago, however, whenever I had gotten the girls home from their grandma's and had made them a snack, I gave my eldest toast and apparently used too much butter, and she went into hysterics screaming at me, "Useless W." My daughter is 8 years old. No 8-year-old should know that word or yet use it towards their mother. I knew that she had to have learnt that from somewhere. I told my husband about this when we were in bed that night, and he suddenly went quiet and got defensive about the subject, shutting down the conversation quickly. At first, I assumed from this reaction, it was him who had said this to our daughter, so I asked my daughter where she heard those new words she used yesterday when mommy didn't butter her toast evenly. To my surprise, she told me that it was mother-in-law who has used these words to describe me often to our daughters. I was livid. I took an early leave from work that day to be there to collect my daughters from school to ensure they were going nowhere near mother-in-law. When my husband arrived home from work that night, I confronted him about what our daughter had told me, and he confirmed that his mom has called me a useless W to him before, after she found out I had a daughter with another man during our separation. He said that she believes that our youngest daughter is not part of her family, and that I am a W for getting myself pregnant with someone that was not her son. The useless part comes from not being on birth control when I was a senior to stop myself getting pregnant in my teenage years. I have never been more angry and upset. It all makes sense to me now, the exclusion and the big gifts for our eldest. The anger displayed towards me when I collect them has all stemmed from how this woman has spoke about me to my own children. I told my husband that the children are never seeing his mom again, and I will gladly make other arrangements for our daughters. My mother-in-law has called and texted a lot to attempt to apologize to me, then it turned to outright denial, and then defensive opinions about our youngest daughter's conception after I refused to acknowledge her texts. My husband says to give her another chance, and I cannot be certain that she has been saying this about me to our children, which I think is BS, because he has admitted she has used those words. He says I'm a major jerk for refusing his mother any contact with her granddaughters, even if it is supervised. Maybe he is right with supervised visitation, but I never want to see this woman again. Maybe it is just the anger talking, and I will feel differently if I hear mother-in-law out.